Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. Thanks a lot for joining us. My name is Craig Wilson. We'll talk a little bit more about what we're going to be doing today. So today we're going to take a look at MediaCentral Collaborate in this webinar. So let's look through exactly what we're going to do. So first of all, we're going to start off with an introduction. It's not just going to be me who's presenting today. It's going to be some of my colleagues as well. We're then going to take a look at MediaCentral Collaborate, explain a little bit about what it is, the kind of workflows that it enables, for news, for story-centric, for planning, for tracking jobs and things like that as well. More importantly, we're going to have a live demonstration by myself and some of my colleagues. We'll then have a discussion, and we're also going to have a question and answer session at the end as well. So as I mentioned, it's not just going to be me, but my name is Craig Wilson. I'm the product evangelist for Avid for the media and cloud. But I'm joined today, so I'm based in the UK, but I'm joined today by my colleagues Claudia Roth. Claudia is based for Avid in Germany, and Ola Kovdun, and Ola is based for Avid across in Spain. Because of course, that's one of the great things about MediaCentral Collaborate. It's enabling us to work together, and we're actually on 3 different countries, but you'll see that as we go through the actual demo itself. Now, we are very keen that the webinar today is as interactive as possible, so please feel free to submit your questions through the Q&A button that you should see at the bottom of your Zoom screen. I think we've all done lots of webinars over the course of the last couple of years, so I'm sure you're all very familiar with that. But please feel free to submit your questions, and we'll do our best to answer them in the Q&A session at the end. But first, before we get into the demo itself, let's explain a little bit more about what MediaCentral Collaborate is, particularly if it's something that you perhaps haven't seen before. So MediaCentral Collaborate is a planning and collaboration tool from Avid. It's part of MediaCentral, and we'll explain a little bit about what that is. But really, it's a way of planning items. You can track their status. You can receive notifications about jobs that you're being tasked to do, for example. And it's a way of enabling perhaps what you call story-centric working. Now, this is something that we've seen grow more and more in importance as stories, of course, aren't just distributed on one platform. They're being distributed on broadcast, but they're being distributed on social, being distributed, online as well. And really what MediaCentral Collaborate provides is a single place where you can begin to see everything that's related to a story, whether that is someone being tasked to go and film a story, for example, or someone putting together a piece that's for social, or someone putting together a piece that's for online. And it's really helping these teams work together. So also really important that it's available not just in the building, it's also available outside of the building as well, because it's available on mobile, but we'll talk a little bit more about that in a little while. So what are some of the things that you can do with MediaCentral Collaborate? Well, one of the key things that you have is the ability to go and plan events. And so we have what are called topics, assignments, and tasks. And we'll show you this in reality in a second. But this is the way that we can set up a job. We can create some events that are linked to that, and we can then task people to do it and then track their progress all the way through. So we can do that by looking at things in what's called the planner view. That lets us see all of the different tasks of assignment. There's lots of different filtering that you can do to make sure you see precisely what it is that you're interested in. And you can also choose to add and manage users and resources to be able to go in and do this as well. Now, one of the key things about MediaCentral Collaborate is the fact that it's available actually through a number of different applications. Okay, so it's available in what's called MediaCentral Cloud UX. Now, MediaCentral Cloud UX runs in a browser, so it just runs on Google Chrome, but that lets you access all of your different Avid systems that you're working with, whether that's your newsroom system, whether it's your MediaCentral production management system, Interplay, as you may have heard of it before. But you can access that from anywhere. So I can work in the office, I can work outside of the office, and I can do that just by running through a web browser. Don't need to really install anything on my local machine. But as well as that, it's also available as a panel inside of Media Composer. It's also available in the MediaCentral panel for Adobe Premiere Pro, After Effects, and Photoshop as well. So one of the key things about it is it's not just about doing planning in a separate planning system that's not linked to your production system. It's very much embedded in your whole production workflow. That's one of the really key things to see here. And we'll show you in the course of the demo of how you can share content between any of these different applications and really tie the whole workflow together, whether you're working as a journalist in the newsroom, you're working as a reporter who's out on location, you're working as a producer, in an edit suite, or you're working as an editor in edit suite, or you're someone doing graphics as well. It really is that capability of tying everything together, because news is a very complex business. There's lots of things going on lots of the time, and it can be very, very difficult to actually establish what's going on. And this really is what MediaCentral Collaborate is all about. It's about bringing the workflow together with the planning applications and also with the capabilities around media as well. So I mentioned about mobile. So there is a mobile app for MediaCentral Collaborate as well. It's available for iOS devices. And so using your mobile, you can see your task. You can get notifications on your mobile if you're out on location somewhere. You can see the tasks. You can also see the elements that have been added to your story. And importantly, you can also update the status of tasks as well, even if you're out on location as well. So again, that whole thing about being mobile, about enabling remote workflows in the office, out of the office, and with all the different applications as well, really is what lies at the heart of MediaCentral Collaborate. But we've all seen lots and lots of PowerPoint over the course of the last couple of years. So let's move on to really the key part of what we're going to look at today, and that's going to be the live demo. So to do that, I'm going to hand across now to Claudia. So Claudia, across to you, and we'll take it away.
Thank you, Craig. Okay, perfect. So just as a quick start, before we deep dive into the MediaCentral Collaborate app, I just want to give a quick overview of MediaCentral Cloud UX. So maybe not everyone is 100% familiar what MediaCentral Cloud UX is. And then we will dive into the Collaborate app, create topics, assignments, tasks, everything that Greg just mentioned. MediaCentral Cloud UX is a web browser-based application that, first of all, links into my backend systems. So Craig said that we're integrating with all of our existing production management system, media asset management system, newsroom systems, and so on. So in the MediaCentral Cloud UX web browser that you currently see here on my screen, is basically here on the left-hand side. I can see all my connected backend systems. So as you can see here, I have production management systems. I even have access to my Nexus storage. I have newsroom, I have graphics system, and I even have my asset management or archive system. Depending on my user rights, I then have the option inside each of these systems to, of course, navigate, browse, preview, see the folder structures, and then basically make any content that's inside these folders available and visible. And I can even change metadata, add markers, and so on. So that's all what you can do inside the system. On top here, next to the little Avid icon, you see a lot of little small icons here. These are MediaCentral Cloud UX apps. The apps can either be coming from Avid, so they're basically suiting our own functionality like browsing, or next to it here like the search application. Next to this, these apps can also be a third-party application. So MediaCentral Cloud UX offers a very strong API that allows third-party vendors to also integrate their systems in our web browser overview. And we also have the option then to use certain functionality, trigger tasks and jobs in the background through the MediaCentral Cloud UX API. Next to this, of course, as said, so with browsing, as you could see in the Browse app, I can basically browse and navigate through all of my various folders that I have access. I basically see the whole database because my user has administrative rights. But basically inside here, so let's say we go into the drone shots folder, and then we can just get in here. You see basically the thumbnails. As soon as I click on any of these items, you see here I have a little function to scrub through the video. If I mouse over, then I can also see metadata. And of course, as soon as I double click, the media will be opened up in the media player here on the right-hand side. I can also enlarge this, of course, to make it full screen. So I have various options inside the system here. Next to this, we can work with clips. And of course, we also have the option to work with sequences. So you can actually also pre-cut and shot list your material inside the web browser application and make this then available for handover to, for instance, a Media Composer, an Adobe Premiere Pro, and so on. This also applies to the search. With the search application, there's one specialty on top here in these colored bubbles. That's where I can basically put all of my keywords. You can build very complex search templates. They can either be filled with data or they can also be empty. Here on the left-hand side, you see a lot of filter options. So let's say, for instance, in a news environment, I'm looking for the latest, greatest content. Then, of course, I can basically filter here according to certain timing information and so on. And what's also really nice with the MediaCentral system, as it connects to a lot of and multiple systems at the same time, I can actually also search across all of them at the same time. So I can search in my online production system, and I can also search for archived content at the same time. All of these searches and so on can, of course, also be saved. So you don't have to set it up each time, of course. You can make them public searches, for instance, in here, or you can also make them as your private searches, then they're only visible to your user. So you have various options inside the search application. So now let's jump to the Collaborate app. So the Collaborate app is an additional option that we have in the system. As said, it's a tool. It's a very comprehensive tool to plan on certain jobs, tasks, topics, shows, events that might occur. So it can actually be applied to multiple departments with different needs and for different purposes, not just for news environments. The first time you enter the Collaborate app, you will end up in the planning view. In the planning view, I basically see all available topics here on the left-hand side, and I can see all available assignments that have been done for the various topics. A topic is basically, see it as a container. So this is basically your container where you will collect all the notes, all the PDF documents, all the pictures, all the media, all the sequences, and all the tasks that are assigned to various people or groups. Inside the topic, let's say we start with the Thursday, March topic. As soon as I click on this, I can basically see various things. First of all, I can see the assignments that are part of this topic. So as you can see here inside this topic, we basically have various assignments. Inside an assignment, this is where tasks for users or user groups are held. So let's say we basically split up our current topic, which is for today. We split it up in various sub-assignments. And inside each assignment, for instance, if we go for this one inside here, you can see any kind of linked media, you can see linked sequences. And here on the left-hand side, you can see tasks that have or had been assigned to users. One thing also to mention, as you can see here, this color coding. The color coding applies to the status or tracking functionality. So inside a topic and inside each assignment or subtopic, I basically have the option to also check and set a status of this current task. The status can be set for the whole topic. So you can see I can make a new one. I can say this is an idea in progress, rejected, removed, ready for archive, ready for deletion, and so on. I can do the same for each individual sub-task or subtopic as well. So let's just maybe start from the beginning. Let's just create a new topic and then a new assignment. To create a new topic, I go back to the planner view. And then on top here, I have the option to actually create a new topic. Also, one thing to mention for all these, for the overview and the planning task, you see that I see a lot of stuff. For some of these items, you can see that there is a blue circle around. This means that my user has been assigned to a certain topic or assignment. To filter the whole list to just show the stuff that's relevant for me, there is a nice button up here, which is called Show Only My Stuff. And this will just filter out everything that's just relevant for my user. Besides, if I want to see everything, I can also switch back. So inside our topic, if you create a new topic up here, you can just create a new topic. You can set the status as set. So we can say this is an idea. We can set various profiles. So I can make this more important or less important or very important. That would be the breaking news one. I can give it a title. I can add some more info here, and then I can add team members that are set up in the backend systems. The team members can either be coming from my own facility or from my own studio, but they can also be external or freelancers. So there is a way to set up and manage all the users in the backend. Resources is everything that can be set up. Let's say if you're planning on an edit station, dedicated editing room, or planning on a camera kit, or planning on various, let's say, drones or stuff that you want to use, you can also set this up, and then you can also make this one available and link it to the assignment itself. We can also add tags if required. Tags can be any kind of text which can be used for searching and filtering all of these assignments and topics that you have. And of course, more important, you can add any kind of metadata. So you can make it available for a dedicated department, let's say for the entertainment department. And you can also say start and end timing. Let's have a look in a topic that has also already been created. So let's go back to our Thursday, March topic. If you double click, you get inside the topic. If you want to change something or add people to an existing topic, if you go for the info button here, you get an overview. You can see all the current statuses of all assignments and tasks that are inside each topic. And as you can see here I have the option to add additional users to my team. So let's say I'd like to add Regis to the topic to work on this one. I can basically save it and I can add him to this one as well. So he's now part of this of the team, and I can actually also assign him tasks to do certain things. Inside each topic, as said, we can create so-called subtasks. Let's say for today, we want to work on the story about Madrid for social media on for Twitter. So for this, I will just create a new assignment. And of course, I have the same options here. So also for assignments, I can basically mark them as a new, as a different status. So in this case, we will say this is a new task. We can give it a certain profile. High profile is probably okay for today. And then we can just give it a title. So this will be my Madrid social coverage. We can give it a due date. So as we want to push this one out today, so I will say we will put basically, let's say 8 o'clock tonight. Under description, I can say we can just give some more information. And of course, more important, I can also assign team members to work with me on that assignment. So in my case, I want to add Craig and Ola as my team members here. I can also link additional resources. So in my case, let's say we want to use the camera kit #1 for this one. And of course, I could also add additional tags. So we can say that this is Madrid, and we can also say this is for Twitter. Of course, then I could also add additional departments. In my case, we can just leave this one empty, and I can also link certain external resources. So let's say if I'm looking for, let's say, a news feed coming from an agency, I can also link this one inside here. So let's save this one. As you can see, you also get notifications. They show up here on the upper right corner. So the topic has now been created. So we just refresh the view. And now we can see our Madrid social coverage showing up here. For my Madrid social story, first of all, I will probably need some material. As you can see here, there isn't any media for this assignment yet. Yes, of course, because we haven't done and created any kind of source content. To get media, I will basically create a new task, and I will basically name this task that I need footage from Madrid. And I would specifically would like to have some footage from Park Retiro in Madrid, of course, Retiro. We can put this into a certain status. In my case, this is new. As a due date, of course, I also want this to be done by, let's say, 16 tonight. And I want Ola to create this content for me because she's actually located in Madrid. Under the info and description, I can basically put any kind of text or additional information, like say, go to a certain location. What I can do as well, I can also type in website links or place website links here. So in this case, and you will also get these as a deep link available. So this is the instruction to get from the Madrid office to Park Retiro in Madrid. So I can basically save this one with the task as well. As soon as I click here, you see that for my assignment, I basically now have a new task that's created and it's assigned to Ola for checking on these information. As basically these tasks, we also have a mobile application that will be shown later today. You will also see that these tasks, there is also a task or an email or notification sent to the user. So Ola basically then is getting a notification on her mobile phone and also inside MediaCentral Cloud UX that there has been a new task assigned to her. So now we basically want her to do some footage, but let's set up an additional task for Ola to create a short sequence, which I can then use for sending this to Twitter. Correct. Of course, we can also do the same thing here. We can also set a due date. I also want this to be done by, let's say 17. Come on. So, of course, this is also a task for Ola. She will have a lot to do today. And what I can do here is basically I will give her additional descriptions in the notes. So these are the two tasks that we just created. Inside an assignment, I can basically, you will see later, I can link media, sequences, images, PDF files, any kind of content that's available in my asset management system or in my production management system or interplay system. And I can also have the option, as you can see here, I can actually also create notes. A notes is quite nice. It's basically a web or text editor. So we can basically say, this is my new note, and this is for Ola. And I can just basically put her some more information here. So we can basically say, please film at Park Retiro location. We can give her the directions again. And we can also say, please create a short sequence for Twitter. What you can also see inside Note, we can actually also have multiple people working in parallel on notes. So I'm currently logged in here. You also see you have some options to print notes, so you can also take them away. And then later on, we will also see that we can basically, that Ola and myself can work in parallel on these information and the notes. This will be for the social export, but I also want Craig to prepare something for our additional coverage to add some more graphics. So I want basically, I will also create a task for Craig to add graphics for sequence. So that we can actually reuse this one for any other external coverage. So I also want that to be done by 7 o'clock. I will assign Craig. And also Craig now has a task that he needs to pick up. So this is how easy and quick you can basically create a new, let's say, story inside an existing topic. So the full topic that we have is basically my weekly running show on traveling. As you can see here, we have some stuff in here already. And then I can basically, inside the main topic, I can create additional assignments or additional sub jobs. And I can basically also easily monitor on the color codes the current tracking status of each of these assignment inside here. With this, I will basically then hand over to Ola, and she can give you some overview on how these tasks show up on her side and how she can change statuses and track and do the adjustments.
Thanks, Claudia. I hope you can see my screen now.
Yes.
Okay, good. So yeah, as Claudia mentioned before, I have here the notifications, so I can actually see that I was assigned to a few new tasks inside an assignment. I also have them on my mobile phone. I don't know if you can see it. So basically, I can review those tasks that I got on my phone and inside the platform. Now I know that I'm working on this story and I saw it on the notification. So I'm just going to my Madrid social coverage and I can see, okay, there is a film at Retiro and there are some notes as well, and it's for me. Okay, and okay, I have the notification. I can say, okay, thanks for the oh, good. And I can see actually that Claudia is working on with the same time on the same document. Brad and okay. So I know my details. I know what I need to do. Film at Retiro Park. So this is something I already did. And I have already my footage uploaded in advance. I used, you can see that some of them were uploaded by my colleague and some of them were ingested with the ingest application. So again, I'm gonna choose some of the footage here and add it to the container. So you can see that I'm just selecting multiple videos or assets that I actually want to use, and I drag and drop it into the container. And as Claudia mentioned before, from now on, this is the main location where we're gonna store all our sources or documents or images or everything we need to work on related to this specific story. So I have my footage here. Again, I can scrub it through to see what's inside. I can also, by double click, it will be expanded in my preview window and I can start working on it. So the film is at Retiro is done. And I'm gonna create a Twitter sequence. So I'm gonna change the status to in progress and create a new sequence. Of course, I can choose between the different sequences types that we have, like the news sequence, the short list. I'm gonna choose the sequence because it gives me some more capabilities of editing. I'm gonna save it into my folder. Again, this is depending on the setup itself, and it can be going to predefined folder. Again, depends on the user rights. I'm gonna name it Madrid Retiro for social, and I'm gonna create the sequence. Okay, now let's do some buff cut, bring some video right here. It's a beautiful place to visit. And also bring some ducks. Okay, so we have some sequence here. I'm gonna save it now and add it back to the container inside my Collaborate app. So you can see that just by drag and dropping the sequence, it is added to the Collaborate app. From here, everybody who needs to review it and Claudia to publish it, she will be able instead of looking for it into the system, she will be just able to access it and use it from here. Okay, so my sequence is done. I'm gonna mark it for review and add Craig, so he will actually do the review for me. Okay, with this, I think my job is done, and I give it back to Craig.
Yeah, that's great, Ola. Thank you very much. I'm going to start sharing my screen. Just give me 1 second to do that. Cool. So perfect, Ola. Thank you very much. And thanks, Claudia, for setting everything up so well for me. So what I'm going to show you now, I mentioned at the start, is the fact that, MediaCentral Collaborate, yeah, it's about planning. And of course, it runs in MediaCentral Cloud UX, as Claudia and Ola have shown you. But it also runs in other applications. So you can see here that I'm actually using Adobe After Effects. And so inside Adobe After Effects, we have the MediaCentral panel for Premiere Pro. It exists here as well. So I have access to browse and search and rundown, some of the same apps that exist inside of MediaCentral Cloud UX. I can also see notifications. So you can see here that I've got the notifications. So it's, it's obviously telling me about the notifications for, the Madrid social coverage that's been set up. I also have the ability of filtering to just show, my own stuff as well. And so I can go into the Madrid social coverage, and there I can see the container, so here are all the elements that, Ola and Claudia have just added. For example, here's a sequence that Ola has added. And I can also see the tasks. So I can see here that I've been tasked to add graphics for the sequence. So let me go in and update this and say that this is now in progress. And that just lets everyone else who's perhaps working on the project, to know the status. And of course, you begin to get very familiar with what the different colors represent for the different stages of a job that's going on. So of course, you can see here that I can, quickly hover scrub, the images that I've got. So it's a really nice shot of the sort of monument that's in the Park Retiro. And if I double click on that, it also then loads into the video browser for me here. So again, I can, go through it, and then I could choose an image. Now there's a couple of different options I've got. Because I'm working in After Effects, if I wanted to, I could right click on the clip and I could choose to import the actual media file. And this would import the media file in here. If I just want a still, so of course, if I'm working here in After Effects or if I'm working in Photoshop, then I can choose to do that as well. So here, I'm just going to give it a name. I can choose the format. So I can JPEG or PNG. I've also got some more advanced settings that actually allows me to change things like, aspect ratio and stuff like that as well. I can have a bunch of presets, or I've got custom presets that I can use as well. And I can then basically select to download that image. Now, what that's going to do is basically make it available for me to now use. So you can see here, if I double click there, I've now got access to this image to begin to work with it. Now, trust me, I am no expert in After Effects, so I'm not going to try and do anything really clever here, but you can see I've got a number of different layers, and I can simply take the image that I've got here and I could add it in to one of the different layers that we have here inside of After Effects. And when I'm done with what I'm doing, one of the other things I can also do is I can also choose to export this back out. So here I've set up my own folder, which is inside our Nexus shared storage. And if I right click, you can see here I get the option to export the composition to MediaCentral, or I could even save the project here. So let me go in and save the project as Hero, for example. I can save that out. So you can see there, that's then saved the project. Of course, what I can also then do is I can then take the project and I could add the project into the container. So of course, what that means is anybody else who's working on this, would it be able to come in and then open up and access the project that they have here as well. So that's my job for this done. So I'm going to go in here again, I'm just going to update the status to say that this is now for review. And of course, Ola also added me, to go in here as well. This is for review, but Claudia, I think it's best that probably you review what Claudia did. So for this, I will hand it back across to you.
Thank you, Craig. Perfect. So now that I'm, so Craig basically did the adjustments. So inside each of the story here, we can then basically go in. I can see that the current statuses and so have been adjusted accordingly. I can also see all of that information in here. So as you can see now, the After Effects project that Craig has created also shows up now inside the container. So besides linking sequences, media, subclips, and so on, I can actually also see any kind of project file in here. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I will basically just check the sequence that Ola created. So this is the Madrid Retiro sequence that she did. So I will just double click this one. As you know, inside MediaCentral, we also have a powerful timeline functionality in here. So I can basically review everything and see it. And now I can basically take this sequence, if everything is fine, and just drag and drop it into the MediaCentral Publisher app. The Publisher app is an additional app that I have installed up here, which can be used for the social media publishing. So in my case, with the MediaCentral Publisher, I can basically export that sequence directly from my production management system to, for instance, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or any other social media application. I can also export to multiple profiles at the same time. So it's actually a very powerful tool. So I don't have to do one and another after each time. So let's say Facebook and then YouTube and so on. I can basically publish to all of them at the same time. That's a very nice application for this. To manage additional graphics, maybe specifically for social media, we can work with pre-rolls, we can work with text overlays, with logos, with dynamic overlays. So this can be some kind of animation, like a lower third that rolls in and rolls out. To make this very easy and fast for the users, of course, we can basically predefine all of these graphic elements for the social media export in a template. So what I basically set up, see, I basically have two templates. One template, the webinar one, is basically one that will be used to export to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter at the same time. In my case, as you can see here, I will also get a logo. I will also get an animation here with certain text that I can actually also adjust and make available. When it specifically comes to social media export, we might need to think about mobile phones and maybe like full screen 16:9 or 1:1 or 2:3. So there are various aspect ratios and sizes that are very common with social media export. And as you can see here, usually the Facebook and YouTube might go with the 16:9 resolution, so like a full screen, whereby the Twitter export might go with the 9:16. So basically all of these resizing to the various aspect ratios can be done automatically in the backend. For now, in my case, let's say we decided we want to go for a Twitter export. So in this case, I will basically go in and just bring up my Twitter template that I have. The Twitter template will then allow me to resize automatically to 16:9 or 9:16 resolution. I can have some additional fields or metadata fields that I need to fill out as a user. Mandatory or very important fields are always marked with the red color here. So of course, we will probably need to give a title. So let's put Park Retiro. We can also, of course, put some additional metadata. What's available here is always depending on the social media destination, and it's depending what has been enabled in the backend. Twitter offers a lot of additional metadata fields, but we just mark the most important ones here. So we can basically, as a user, I can fill that out. I can put messages, and I can also put call to action informations like watch now, visit my website, and so on. I can provide the link and all of these kind of things. As a user now, I basically have two options. I can say save and exit, and I can say publish. With save to exit, it will just be stored, and then another person can pick it up. If I hit publish, my sequence will automatically be converted into a Twitter compatible video format. So that's done by transcodings in the backend. And my graphic will be applied, and it will be published and made available on our Twitter profile that we set up in the repository here. Then I can basically see the status of the export, and then I can later on also see a link, and I can click on it, and I can see how many views my social media tweet had, and so on. So it basically offers a lot of functionality inside here. While this one is running, I can switch quickly back to my Collaborate app because, of course, as we already created that sequence here, so we can basically set this one to be, of course, first of all, approved, and we can actually also directly set it for completed. I can also adjust the full track of my Madrid social media coverage. Of course, this is probably not in the status new any longer because it's already in approved and in complete state. As soon as the After Effects part of the storage or the additional graphic export of the storage is done as well, in the end, I will probably mark it as ready for archive. And then I have the option to archive everything that's part of this container, every media that's linked, every node and so on. Either have this done automatically by an asset management system, by a routine that checks on these statuses, or the other option is I can also use the so-called container actions. And with this, I can manually trigger an archival process or a send to external system process automatically from inside each of the assignment or from inside the topic. So I have the option here to basically push it to archive directly. And with this said, Craig, I think we're going back to you.
Yep, that's great, Claudia. Thanks very much, and thanks to Ola as well. So Ola, if you want to put your cameras on, and Claudia, if you want to stop sharing, let's have a little bit of a discussion, because there has been a whole variety of questions that have come in the course of the demo itself, which is great. So the first one really is actually about MediaCentral Publisher, Claudia, which has come in, which is from I think it's Vincenzo. Hopefully I pronounced your name correctly, Vincenzo Ola. Can you set up different Twitter, Facebook, YouTube accounts and choose every time which destination you'll publish to? So Claudia, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes, that's correct. So inside the MediaCentral Publisher, as said, I can basically go to multiple destinations at the same time. So maybe let's quickly share my screen again for this one. It's quite probably easier to show. So inside the MediaCentral Publisher, when I'm inside the profile, so either I can work with a template which will automatically link to the setup profiles, or if I'm inside here, so this is the export we just did, I can actually have the option here, and then I can see all my configured social media profiles in the backend. We only have one Facebook, Twitter, YouTube set up, but as said, you can also have multiple at the same time. And here you can basically select to which ones you want to export. And at the same time, you will also see any kind of different settings for the resolutions and so on. And you can define individual graphics.
Yeah, and then a subsequent question again is about choosing which users can publish. If you actually look at the bottom of the screen, you see there's save and there's save and exit, and you probably saw when Claudia did this the first time round, there's save and publish. So you can define which users can actually publish to different destinations. What you probably have is the majority of users can create content, they perhaps can create and save it, but then you have different roles for people that actually can go in and can save and publish. It's probably also worth mentioning, Claudia, since you've gone back to that clip, is actually published now and is on the social media platform. You know, so it does work. It's super quick to get that done. So thanks, Claudia, for that. So another question here about scalability for the system. So please comment on scalability. How would this fit into, say, 4K 90-minute footage? So MediaCentral systems are running with Avid Nexus storage. And MediaCentral systems are qualified for up to more than 330 users working at the same time. And in terms of, storage, you could have petabytes of Avid Nexus storage that's running. So, we scale all the way from, SD up to, UHD, 2K, and 4K. So it can be done. It just depends on the system itself. You probably, if you're working 4K, you probably want to perhaps have some kind of proxy resolution that you perhaps would use as well. I mean, that could be HD in that case as a proxy for the 4K, but the system can scale to that as well. So another question that's come in from Thomas. Is there an iNews integration? So iNews is now called MediaCentral Newsroom Management integration for MediaCentral Collaborate. So the answer to that, Thomas, is yes, there is. What you can do is, we didn't show it in the course of the demo, but inside of MediaCentral Cloud UX, there is the Rundown app that lets you see and access all of your content from your newsroom system. And you can then drag and drop items into containers, just as Ola and Claudia did, to share content there as well. So, one of the things that we looked at here was publishing to social media, but you could just as easily set up a task to publish something, say to, a 6 p.m. show and things like that as well. You could have wires, items that could be linked into the container as well. The container really can store anything that is part of your Avid system. So whether that's master clips, subclips, sequences, items that are part of your newsroom system, graphics, and we looked at things like Photoshop and stuff like that as well. So it really is about bringing the whole kind of workflow together. So I can see another question from Peter about ingesting into an assignment. So at the moment, Peter, the answer to that is no. At the moment, what you have to do is you would ingest into one of your systems, for your production system or your asset management system, and from there you can take the content into an assignment as opposed to bring it directly into an assignment itself. So a couple other questions. Ola, I'm going to ask a question to you. You've been getting off easy since we started with the Q&A. So one of the things here on Ola is what we were looking at is MediaCentral Cloud UX. So does it have to run in the cloud? Is it something that people can run on premises? How can people do it? What are the kind of options that they've got?
Absolutely. So this is basically, it can run on the cloud and it can run on premises. Current presentation was done on the cloud, and the majority of our customers, of course, are running this on-prem, but of course it will depend on the needs of the customer.
Yeah, I think it's one thing to point out is that all of the stuff that we did, so I'm in the UK, Claudia's in Germany, and Ola's in Spain, we're all doing that actually running on a cloud-based system. So despite the fact that we're all in 3 different countries, we're all still able to work and collaborate together. And even if the system was on premise, we of course would still be able to do that, assuming you're connecting through things like a VPN connection and be able to do that as well. So Claudia, maybe back to you for a couple of things. Is Collaborate just for news? Or is it really for about any kind of working that people could do? Really anything that needs a bit of planning. Could people use it for that?
Yeah, correct. I think this is what we were also trying to show today. Of course, I can also work in a newsroom environment. So with our MediaCentral newsroom management tool, we can also create stories in a rundown directly from the Collaborate container and link those inside the Collaborate container. So you basically can then plan and add sequences and media linked to each story as well. But as we showed today, I can also work completely outside of a newsroom. So I can actually, if I'm in the marketing department and I'm planning on an event that might come up for a certain new TV show that I have, or a film even, I can also work planning on this and tasking people and tracking the status on this one.
Yep. So there's actually a question that's coming from Peter about the mobile app. So I've actually got the mobile app, which we were planning to show towards the end anyway. So why don't I share my screen and we'll begin to do that. But for the moment, Claudia and Ola, thank you very much. So let me share my screen and then we can talk a little bit about the mobile app. Yeah, so here is the mobile app for MediaCentral Cloud UX. Let me just bring my ripple effector back up here as well. Let me just come out of this for a second. There we go. So on the mobile app here, what I have access to, if I just go back here, you see I've got MediaCentral Collaborate. So in MediaCentral Collaborate, I can see all of the topics. So here I've unfiltered everything just so you can see all of the topics. I can also see all of the assignments that we've been working on. I also have the ability to search. So I can obviously search on here, and I can filter again to see only my stuff. So that filter that Claudia looked at, and that filtering applies both to topics and also to assignments as well. So again, here I can see the topic that we have for today. So again, I can go in and I can see again the Madrid social coverage one that we were looking at. I can see the information about the assignments that we have. I can go into the individual assignment. There again, I can see the due date and time, the description that Claudia added in, what topic it's part of, who the team is. I can create assignments here. I can create topics, and I can add people to that as well. But if I go into the create Twitter sequence one, for example, I can also change the status. So again, if I'm on location, I could update the status of a job as well. But I also have access to the media. So you can see here, this are the items that were added into the container back at by Claudia, who was working back there, or by Ola. But I can also come in, and this is actually something that we are sort of working on at the moment, is now what I can also do in the next version is I'm also able to then play back the video. So you can see here, this is actually playing back from the main system on my phone, but I can play back the video and I can review it here as well. So this is something in terms of the video playback that's coming in the next release. Everything else that I've shown you is things which is available today. So really, MediaCentral Collaborate on mobile, as I mentioned, I can create assignments, I can create topics, I can add people to that, I can change the status, and now I can also view the media that's been associated with it, and I can continue to update that as well. Now, as we're talking a little bit about things which are coming next, the final thing that I really wanted to show you is, again, coming in the next release. We looked at, Claudia showed what was in the planner view just now. What we're going to add in the next release is the ability to then have a calendar view. So here you can see I'm seeing my jobs across the whole course of a week in terms of planning ahead as well. So this is something else that's coming again in the next release. But we've got a few more questions, so I'm going to stop sharing again, and we'll go back to looking at the questions again. So Claudia and Ola, if you want to put your cameras back on again. So a question that's come in from Siram. Let me see if I can answer this one. So can we have two different media with metadata to identify the time zone we use them in different time zone, and how will it be managed? So the metadata for either an individual sequence or for a clip itself, it has obviously what's called system metadata. So that's things which are defined by the system itself. In MediaCentral Cloud UX, you can define which time zone you're working in, so you can then see items in different time zones. You would also be able to create custom fields, where if you wanted to then perhaps have different time zone information that you added in, you would be able to do that as well. So that's part of the bigger MediaCentral system that you could do. And then another question that's come in is about, is MediaCentral Collaborate, excuse me, standalone, or is it part of a bigger system? So MediaCentral Collaborate is part of a bigger system. So it's part of the whole MediaCentral platform. It's an app available for MediaCentral Cloud UX, as we've mentioned, Media Composer, Adobe Premiere Pro, After Effects, and Photoshop. But it runs as part of that bigger MediaCentral system. It is something that's available as subscription. So it is something that you can have as a subscription. Of course, then you can choose users that are part of that as well. So Peter's asked the question about the API, something we're working on at the moment. We can provide an update to that when that is available as well. But as we're running close to the hour, I think we'll bring things to a close. One final thing I just wanted to share with you before we finish is if you want to have some more information about all of the different things that we've looked at today, then you can of course check out the Avid website. So bear with me one second where I just share the slide with the information on that in here. There we go. So if you want some more information specifically on MediaCentral Collaborate, then go to avid.com/MediaCentral-collaborate. You can of course go to avid.com/MediaCentral, which will then show you all of the information that we have from there. But for the moment, really, all I want to do is to say thank you very much to Ola and Claudia for your great demo in the course of today. Hopefully everyone's found that really interesting. Please check out the website. There's also lots of videos there about the things that MediaCentral Collaborate can do. And for me here in Scotland, thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good day.